Christmas is over, and now Costco members are returning into the store to return or exchange those presents that they got, making the returns department as busy as the front end was just a few days before. So here's what happens to all of those items and everything you should know before you bring your presents back. So it's no secret that Costco has a pretty awesome return policy. Basically, everything that you buy there can be returned at any time, with the exception of some electronics which have a 90-day return policy. And if I remember correctly, Apple products are the only electronics that you can return past that 90-day period. Now, if you do buy an electronic like a computer or a TV and it goes bad after the 90 days, what you'll have to do is contact the concierge services to try and get it fixed. In the given case that they can't fix it, what they'll do is they'll give you a claim number that you can take to Costco and they'll give you a full refund for it. If you buy an electronic and you decide you don't like it after the 90 days, you won't be able to return it. Also, right before I get started on what happens to the returns, I should let you know if you're given a present to someone who doesn't have a Costco membership, or if you are someone who got a present from Costco and you don't have a membership and you need to return or exchange the item, there's a couple of things that you should know. So one, Costco tries not to do returns without a membership. So if there's an item that you want to return, it's best if you have the membership number of the person that gave you the present. I know it's not very convenient, but it'll make everything go super smooth. So if your parents who have a Costco membership give you a t-shirt and you're like, man, this shirt's a little too small, I need a bigger one, I want a different color, or maybe you want something else, just make sure you get their membership number and bring it to the membership desk. Just with that number, they'll be able to find the receipt and then they'll be able to process the refund. This will seriously make everything so much easier for both you and the returns employee. And if you're the one giving somebody a gift that you think they might have to exchange or return, just give them your number. You don't have to give them your card. They just need the number in the back of your membership, because that way they can find the purchase history and then they can find it and it'll be easier to give them the refund, basically. Since Costco doesn't do exchanges, it does technically have to be a refund. And if somebody doesn't have a membership, what they'll do is they'll give you a gift card with the amount that the member spent for the item. So this is one of those cases where you can get that cash card and then you can go back into Costco and shop without a membership. So now you know. So going into the returns and what happens to them, the way the items are handled really just kind of depend on the state of the item. See, items that were bought and then just returned that are not opened or damaged, they really just go back on the shelf. You get your full refund and then we just put it back just to try and sell it again. When it comes to clothes, those are a little bit trickier because most Costco's don't have a dressing room or even mirrors sometimes in the clothing department. So what most people will do is they'll buy something they think they'll fit and they will go home and try it out and then return it. So these are items that if you just tried it on and then they didn't fit, we return them and then we put them back on the shelf. But these items do go through different steps, meaning the returns clerk will take a first look at it. Then there's a supervisor that checks it again to put it back on the store, and then there's still an employee that will take it back. At any point here, any of these employees can say, this is not going back on the shelf. It's just going to go back to vendor. But don't worry, this doesn't affect you if you're the one returning the item. Now, if you bought an item that is no longer on sale, or maybe you bought it a long time ago and you want to return it, this will be up to the supervisor or manager if they want to put it back on the shelf or just send it back to the vendor. See, there are certain items that even if they're older or Costco doesn't sell them at the moment, they might still be high in demand or very popular. And so in this case, the manager might decide to put it back on the shelf to try to sell the one item. The good thing about these items is that they usually go for the lowest price available. So if somebody returns something that you really wanted and you find it, you'll probably get it at a really low price. Now, if the item that you're returning is opened, again, this just kind of depends on what the item is. When it comes to like food, like prepackaged food, cans of food, or anything that comes in like little packs inside of a bigger pack, we don't sell them, but we do send them to a company called the FASRA. And this is where Costco sends all of the food that we don't sell, like all of the bread, muffins, meats, anything that doesn't sell in its appropriate time. We give it to them and then they distribute it to homeless people, to shelters, to other companies that might have a good use to them. So there's no wasted product. For non-food items, if the item was open but not used, typically there's a way to just repackage it and still be able to sell it. If there's obvious damage that it's been opened before but not used, sometimes what managers will do is they'll put a 10% discount on the item. This is not guaranteed, so just don't take what I say and be like, oh, the Costco dude told me you were gonna take 10% off, so take it. Because no, that's not how it works. It really is at the discretion of the manager, and this will vary, you know, at every single Costco. Every single Costco will be different. Now, all the items that were bought, it was used, and the member didn't like them, or it stopped working, like a blender, for example. These items will just go back to the vendor. So Costco doesn't throw them in the garbage. We just at the end of the day, we package everything that can be sent back to the vendors, and we just send it to them. See, Costco has a deal with all of the vendors. Everybody that sells their product at Costco, they agree that if anything gets returned, Costco will return it to them for a credit. So Costco doesn't really lose a lot of money when it comes to returns, which is why we have such a good return policy. I don't know the details at 100%. I just know that if you're selling something at Costco, you have to be okay with items getting returned to you, and then you have to give Costco a credit for it. So fresh foods and frozen foods. This is a tough one because when it comes to these items that like perishables, once they leave the store, if you bring them back, they're going straight to the garbage. They cannot be restocked, they cannot be resold. And it really could be that you bought something fresh. Like let's say you bought some meat and you get to the car and then you're like, oh shoot, I didn't need this type of meat, and you want to go return it. We cannot resell it. And this is really just a safety precaution by Costco, just so that they don't sell food that might have been tampered with, or, you know, that something went bad. Like, because we don't have eyes on everything, we can't just rely on what someone told us. You know, like if you bought something frozen and then it thawed and then you refroze it and then bring it back, that's bad food. So Costco's not going to sell that. So that's just something to keep in mind if you buy something fresh and you don't want it. If this is not a guilt trip, but if you find a better way to dispose of this food, do it. If you absolutely need your money back, bring it back. And an employee should not make you feel bad for returning fresh food. Also, one thing that I want to let you know is that when you're returning things to Costco, we always have to ask you like the reason for returning it. And I feel like a lot of people get a little scared because they're like, oh my gosh, like if I tell them the truth that I didn't like it, are they going to deny it? Are they going to give me a hard, are they going to give me a hard time about it or anything like that? And the truth is, no. We need to ask why you're returning it, because we need a reason to type it into our computer, like the notes of why we're returning things. And that way, when we take them back to the vendor can be like, oh, maybe an item gets returned a lot because of the exact same reason. So taking note of those things will help the vendor hopefully fix the issue with it. If food was bad, like if it tasted bad, let us know that it tasted bad and you didn't like it. And even if you served 80% of the cake and then everybody took a bite and everybody didn't like it, and you're returning 20% of a cake, that's okay. But we just need to know what went wrong so that we can fix that issue. And just know that if you just didn't like the product, whatever it was, it doesn't matter if it was clothing, electronic, food, I don't know, whatever it is, if you didn't like it and that's why you're returning it, that's totally fine. That is actually one of the options. So we have like a few options that you can select. And the main one, the first one, is didn't want, didn't like, which is totally acceptable. But if there's something else that was wrong with it, please let us know. So next time you return something, when they ask you, just tell them what it is. Or don't, I guess. You're not forced to do anything you don't want, but that is the reason why we are asking the reason for returns. It won't affect the return. We're not going to keep money from you, and we shouldn't be giving you a hard time about it either. But anyway, that is it. I mean, it's pretty simple. That's what happens to everything that you return at Costco. If there's a specific item that you're curious about, you can let me know in the comment section below. I will answer it as best as I can. I feel like most of them fall under these categories, but I don't know. If I missed something, let me know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, share it with your friends. If you bought a gift for someone and you think that they might return it, show them this video so that they know that they can return it with no problems. And I'll see you guys next time. Happy New Year.